Got the countdown from the 3s, the 2s, the 1s. We got action. Say Something fam, welcome back. We got another week here. We're excited to be back at the table, the round table. Me and my boy Money Mitch in the house. Getting ready to go over some sports as we always do, right?
Yes, sir.
But before anything, we do our check-in. Got to make sure we both on the same page, both feeling good, grooving, doing all the stuff we need to put this show in place for y'all. So, Mitch, how you doing? How you feeling? Let the people know.
Boy, I feel like I'm definitely getting my tan on right now. It is about 104 every single day out in Concord. Boy, it's getting hot. So I'm just out here getting my work in and hopefully not overheating myself whenever I'm out there because it's big water gang all day. It's been hell out here. But, same old, getting some work done, seeing the fam, hanging out. Same old. How about you?
Man, you guys know we're both on the grind, right? Mm-hmm. So we have similar stories that'll kind of, seem like we're just touching on the same thing repeatedly, even though they're gonna be new feeling for us. Yeah. But that's just because we're living in it. But I'm still doing school, right? So I'm still on that same master's grind.
Yes, sir.
I'm going hard in my internship. I'm enjoying that. Got, a lot more contact now with the kids. So getting past the process of dealing with the families and getting down to more of what the work is supposed to be for me. Yeah. So that's cool. And then also, anytime you're in a new place that runs systems you're unfamiliar with, that whole portion of it takes a minute to just like recalibrate yourself. Yeah. So I feel like I'm finally getting used to the space I'm working within. Which makes it feel a little better, a little more predictable. Because at first it just really felt like Bart Lights, where everything is just like, what is going on? But I'm super excited to be here. Tons of sports to talk about. I mean, this is one of my favorite times in sports. So much overlap in great content. Things are coming at us quite quickly, actually. So it seems like each week is like, wow, we're behind. Yeah. But I think the biggest thing that we'll touch on today, in terms of fresh news, is the Karl Anthony Towns trade.
Right.
We're obviously going to give you guys some NFL talk. We got college football. We got MLB. We got it all for you here, and we got a little sprinkle of fantasy. But NBA. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to, before we even get started, I know last week we ended on kind of a sour note, but this time I kind of want to get it out of the way. I know I'm pretty sad, and I know a lot of people are upset and sad. Dikembe Mutombo passed away this week, and that was very sad from brain cancer. Yeah, he was an amazing player and just an amazing dude. Did a lot of work out in the Republic of Congo, where he was from. So it's sad to see such a bright light go out. And then also,
he wasn't old either.
Yeah, and he wasn't old.
58.
58. That's not that old, man. So, man, RIP that man. And then the dude with the dopest nickname in sports, probably, my man Charlie Hustle. Pete Rose.
Man,
Pete Rose, the legend.
Controversial legend.
Very controversial. Bet on the game. A lot of old heads did not like that. I'm going to be pretty upset if I see him get put into the Hall of Fame now.
That'd be painful.
That would be some bull. But, man, just real quick, I just wanted to, say my condolences to their families and whatnot. And just, it's sad to see two legends gone.
Absolutely. I appreciate you bringing that up. Definitely. We're always giving our shout out on Say Something to everybody that's done it before us, whether it's in the media space or within sports, things that we talk about on the day to day. So glad you could bring that up, Mitch. And, we always are sending condolences anytime any situations like that unfold. So, yeah, what do you think about this Karl Anthony Towns trade, just to shift us into, a little happier space here? Not to just roll over what we just said, because, we're going to make sure we put a little something in the thumbnail for them, too, as well. Those are the legends that we lost. But we have Karl Anthony Towns getting swapped out for Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and a lottery first-round protected pick. I said that a little weird, first-round pick that's lottery protected, and that is from Detroit. When I first saw this and didn't see that it was lottery protected, I almost passed out. Because first-round pick from Detroit, I'm like, that is insanely valuable.
Top 10.
You're getting a top 5 pick with that. But, yeah, so it makes a little more sense. What do you think about this? Who won the trade? And how do you think these teams look moving forward?
Man, I would say this is definitely like an NBA 2K trade.
Big
in my
time.
opinion. It's kind of random, and it seems like two guys who, maybe Karl Anthony Towns will solidify their defense a little bit more in terms of big men. but I don't know. Maybe just because he's taller,
Yeah.
not because he just has defensive prowess
100%.
to go along with him. So
Sure does.
I think it's cool. It's interesting switch up. I don't know how well Julius is really going to match with the other guys in Minnesota, especially when they're more like a Rudy Gobert type of big man rather than like a super scoring and ball dominant kind of guy. But I think it's a better fit for the New York Knicks because they have a team that's willing to gel with everybody and doesn't. There's nobody besides Jalen Brunson who seems like give me. I need to be the star. I need to be the star. It's everybody in cohesion with each other.
100%.
Hey, let's just make it work as a collective nine. There's no superstars here, even though Jalen Brunson is pushing that. But even
he doesn't act like one.
he doesn't act like one. You see him with the podcast with Josh Hart and the guys. It's like they're
and he
friends.
took less money, so this could even happen.
Exactly.
Like,
So
really.
they're all homies. They're all trying to win as a team, bringing that Villanova vibe to the NBA, to the Knicks. So I see it as a better move for the New York Knicks than I do for the Minnesota Timberwolves, just because Julius Randle's coming off injury, not really sure how he's going to mesh with the team, how much time he needs to fully get ramped back up. So I feel like there's just more confusion and more unknowingness inside the Minnesota locker room than in the New York Knicks one.
Definitely. No, I mean, I love those points. I think that, for me, it's a pretty good trade. I think that, there's a lot of things taken into consideration. The biggest thing that I think Mitch brought up that's super important is obviously both of the guys that Minnesota received have injury concerns. Mm-hmm. Not that Karl Anthony Towns doesn't, but in terms of overall durability, like Donte DiVincenzo, before he put it together last season, has always missed significant time. And then the same thing can be said with Julius Randle, where like it's not that he's ever gotten a big injury, but we know he gets those little naggers here and there where it's like, oh, he missed a little here, oh, he missed a little here. And a lot of times it's key moments, right? And he's not used to playing in moments that matter so much, so it's not scrutinized as heavily when he's absent. But I think that's going to come into play here in terms of what Minnesota should be concerned about. Now, in a perfect world, like if this is 2K, like Mitch is saying, I believe that this is actually about as even as you can get with an NBA trade. Reason is Karl Anthony Towns was going to become surplus. They can't put that much money on bigs like on the books. You just can't. They have so much money. They have maxed out Gobert. They handed Naz Reid a nice deal. Deserved. And then you're sitting there and Karl already's on a big one, but you're going to also have to go get Ed and secure him for the long term. And so when you look at just what's on the books for them moving forward, I think they had another season of that team anyway. Yeah. And so when you look at it from that perspective, I think they went and grabbed some really key pieces, and I actually think Julius Randle fits them like a glove. Now, is he going to fit in terms of personality? I don't know. He's one of those kind of mercurial stars who seems some people love him, some people don't. But I do believe that in terms of hooping, he actually fits them a lot better than Karl Anthony Towns. I think that they're not going to ever be the best shooting team. So having your power forward or center, whatever you want to call it, being one of your best three-point shooting, I don't think that makes sense ever. And Julius Randle can still hit the three, but he's not going to be sitting out there like, my boy Cat will be out there heaving 7-8 a game. Julius Randle, he's going to be an offensive 25 a game kind of guy that really can get down, get you the buckets that you need in terms of one-on-one ball, which I believe they actually need a lot of. I think Anthony Ed is tired. I think that he's the only guy on that team that if he got put on the island, he'll get off it. Right. I think Julius Randle can do the same. I think the 1-2 game between those two, he's a good enough passer, good enough creator to play off ball with Ed and get some pick and roll going. And then I think Donte DiVincenzo slept on. Like, I think that is a piece if they had him last year in the playoffs. Yeah. I think he could have swung that series. I mean, they needed a guy who can come off the bench and hit you with a 20-piece by accident.
Get some threes in.
And Donte can do that, and he's gritty. So he's ready to play with Minnesota. He wants to do that. And he's one of those guys that's just walked around with a chip on his shoulder since he got in the league.
Minnesota #1 defense last year, right?
And they're only, in my opinion, with Donte DiVincenzo, that can take a step up. And it's no thanks to Karl Anthony Towns that they were that.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And I don't think Julius Randle's going to help either. He's not a good defender. But I actually believe in terms of mobility, what you need next to Gobert, I think he's a better fit. I think he is more mobile. I think he can step out. And in situations where Gobert was getting danced on last year, I think that's now Julius Randle. I think you put Julius out there, and he might get danced on a little bit, but he can roll with a guard, right? He's just not going to get put on his butt like Gobert did, right? So I actually think that if I were to truly give a victory, I'd still hang with Mitch, and I'd go with New York just because Karl Anthony Towns, to me, is when he wants to be a top 15 guy. But we don't often see that. And I don't think those other two are that. But I believe that if they piece together how they could, Minnesota could be a better team, which is that's usually pretty rare when you might have lost the trade but became a better team. So, yeah, that'd be my take on that. But just really shocking to happen out of nowhere like that. And I feel like both the players, it felt hard on them.
I'm sure they were kind of surprised about it.
Felt like Karl Anthony Towns got hit over the head with like a pot. Yeah, it was just like, whoa. And then, like we talked about Dante, I mean, God, that must feel like they just did all these podcasts.
They had the Villanova squad ready to go, and they just, if we're going to get rid of one.
That's like getting kicked out in summer school or something. It's like, wow, we're not even, anyway. So
that's tough.
Condolences to those boys for the actual human side of it, but in terms of hoop, that's our take. On to the next. We got college football. My boy is going to the game. Say less, do more. You know what I'm saying? This is the Say Something channel where we got to highlight greatness going on in our own city.
Yes, sir.
So we got College GameDay coming for the first time. My man is a season ticket holder.
California, baby. Let's
yes,
go.
Sir. So Cal's going to play Miami this weekend. Number 5 Miami, I believe it is.
Are they 5 now?
I think they're 5. And Miami is undefeated. They have Cam Ward, who's a Heisman potential guy, and a plethora of stars all around the field. We obviously are coming off that loss to Florida State. Tough one. But I still hold high hopes, and overall, really, regardless of the result, I'm just excited that game day is going to be coming to Berkeley. For
Pat McAfee in the Bay, baby.
Bring it on home, baby.
I'm excited to go. I actually got to work during the day, so I can't enjoy the festivities before the game. But once I get out, I'm going straight to the field. My mom's house, where I grew up my whole life, is only like 3 or 4 blocks away from the field. So I'm excited to make that walk on frat row, see all them young ass kids doing their thing, and get to my spot, man, and just see what we can do. We got some really, really good DBs, which is exciting to see. Our offense is kind of lackluster, but it is nice. Mendoza has kind of been doing his thing this year. We need Javion Thomas, our running back, to step up a little bit. Hopefully, we can try and work in Jaden Ott if he's not still like off and on injured. I don't know what's going on with that. That's unfortunate. And then Nasiah Hunter is going to be a great receiver for us. I'm excited to see what he's got to go. Hopefully, Mendoza has enough time in the pocket to get it out to him, because Miami is going to bring the defense and they're going to bring the excitement. And it's really on us to try and halt them and have a good student section to support. It's interesting. They moved sides. So Cal sideline used to be right where the students are, but now they moved it to the other side.
Interesting.
And so last game against San Diego State, hella kids were throwing stuff on the field at the San Diego State people, and it cost Cal like 3 penalties because they're like, please stop throwing stuff on the field like 5-6 times. So I don't think they thought about that when they did the switch up.
Bad call there.
Hopefully the crowd will be behind them. Hopefully it's going to be a lot of folks there. I mean, College GameDay comes. That's a lot of excitement. So I'm hoping that we could just make it a game.
Yeah.
That's really, I mean,
14 be competitive, please.
14-9 to the lackluster Florida State is tough pill to swallow, and this team's going to be even better. So I just don't want to go in there and by halftime it'd be 28-7. You know what I mean? Like, hold on to the defense, and then offense, let's matriculate down the field,
slow,
make something
steady
happen. Yeah, let us have the more time of possession.
Yeah, we're a defensive team. Let the defense win. Just don't make mistakes, man.
Right.
7:30 though, man, that's amazing. So don't forget 7:30. That's prime time. Even if you can't make the game, please tune in. Like I said, Cal's not always in prime time. So if you're a fan of us, you might be a fan of them.
Let's go.
So we just want to give you that reminder. Next, we have the NFL, which we have a plethora of things to talk about. However, the first thing would be Thursday Night Football real fast. Just a quick highlight. Falcons.
Great game.
Last night, what a game. Baker Mayfield starts off hot, looks literally untouchable the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get real stagnant, pull the Shanahan, acting like, hey, we got this. This is what we do. And they're not a running team. They got Bucky Irvin and they got my boy Rashad White, who's a great pass catcher.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, he is a twig. He's not.
He is a Zamir White out there.
Yeah, and even Zamir, if you can catch the ball, you would have had a career. But you're like, I think it's over. I think you're a backup now forever with that stuff.
Right.
But anyway, I feel like that they really just should have just kept passing the ball. They're a passing team. Their whole team is built around passing. They literally don't even really have an O-line.
Yeah.
And so it was just very interesting to see them try to manage clock in the second half when it wasn't even a blowout. But they were just playing phenomenally. And it so happened that Falcons really couldn't piece together things that turned into scoring drives a lot. They were putting together a lot of yards. But then there was just this outburst in the second half, a Kirk Cousins special, as we call it. God, it seems like once a season now, if he's healthy, you get one of these moments where it's just like, he is throwing ducks.
You like that?
Still. Yeah.
You like that?
Dog, and a lot of the stuff is like ducks. Like, there's stuff where you're like, but it's like, it works. And so, him throwing 509 yards breaks the Falcons
when Darnell Mooney's going crazy for you, that definitely helps. Oh, crazy. Boy, he was going wild.
Crazy.
And then the last play of the game where it's just like, did everybody just stop playing or something?
Yeah.
They just ran right up the field.
This guy's a special teamer who does a little bit of everything but never does that and scores a game winner in OT. I'm still really – this is the last thing I'll say on this because all we really need to say is it was a great game. We hope you saw it. Tons of offense. It's just what you want to see in a Thursday night football game. And finally, you get to see players like Kyle Pitts, Drake London really step out of their shell.
Mike Evans have another 2-touchdown game.
Yeah, the consistent, Mr. Consistent. But, dudes like Drake London and Kyle Pitts, you always know how talented they are. It's like, please just get them the ball. So it's great to see that happen right there. But
it's about damn time.
Yeah, for sure.
And to your point about Tampa Bay just trying to go to the run game, which was ridiculous, I was looking at the highlights, and it was like the first drive or two, Chris Godwin had 4 receptions for 40 yards, and then it was just nothing after that. And he's somebody I feel like is very good with the intermediate routes as well as deep routes. And instead of running it, I feel like they could have, let's get it out here.
A little dink and dunk here. Little dink and dunk.
Because he was racking up the catches, but they just stopped.
Yeah, bad play calling, bad coaching, But the one thing I will say is, NFL, please consider giving everybody a shot in OT.
Yeah, man.
I get it that they changed the rule to where you can't. I don't even remember what they changed. Where it was like
it used to be the first person to score wins.
Period. A field goal, right?
And then they switched it to if you score a touchdown, you win. But if you kick a field goal and make it, then the other team gets a chance.
Right.
That's how it is now.
And I just believe no matter what, we just need to give everybody a shot. Right. Like this is a big, don't put so much weight on a coin flip, because it's just, how many times have we seen it? The coin flip just decides the game flat out. And these teams are really going at it. And I get it that you don't want to overwork your product, right? You don't want 4 OT games or whatever, but the likelihood of that to me isn't there. Right,
it's not there. They don't do that. Once the first overtime is over, that's it. So
it's a tie.
It can end in a tie. Yeah.
So it's so you should just be giving everybody a shot. In my opinion, I'd say give 2 OTs max. Look to extend it to where there can be a give and go exchange where it's not just 1 for 1. But I truly feel like we're not getting the real outcomes of some of these games. I mean, it is just the teams walk off so dejected, and it's because, again, sometimes that has nothing to do with really what's going on with the actual game flow.
Yeah.
And, it's a high-scoring game going back and forth, and all of a sudden it's just, last possession wins.
Over.
Come on. Lastly, before we jump to our teams, overall injury woes, man. We're just going to say sayonara to Rashee Rice. We've highlighted that boy a lot so far. He was holding down my man's team. He held down one of my teams in the ESPN league as well. Injury bug is biting everybody, man. Pat Mahomes, finally, that dad bod really did some damage.
Yeah.
Killed that boy, because honestly, if you were a little more athletic, you might have got out the way of that.
you might actually tackle the guy you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Instead, you just sat on his knee. And that's Patrick Mahomes' dead weight. So that's real dead weight. But yeah, Rasheed, man, sayonara, dude. You look great, dude. And like
you were a league winner, bro.
And like we're saying, we don't know what even is gonna happen to you in life.
Yeah.
Like, me and Mitch were just talking about this off air. Like, you might be going down for real. So this is like a different kind of get well. But like, yeah, dude, like we're tough way to go.
Tough times coming ahead.
For real.
For sure.
For real. And then Jonathan Taylor, another guy who it doesn't look like he's going to be super long term, but that's what they've said about pretty much everybody this year. And then it's turned out 3 weeks.
Still haven't seen Christian McCaffrey.
I don't even think I don't think we will.
Jonathan Brooks, I don't know if we're going to see him.
Let me get man.
It's tough. Nick Chubb seems like the only person who has a chance to be a productive player after being hurt this season.
Yeah, that's about it. Everybody else
tough out here.
Man, it's pain. That draft day, everybody felt great. And then we're week 5 right now. And it's just a dismantled league. Just a totally different look.
I'm relying on rookies right now.
Oh, my God. My team is waiver wire you. Like, we're taking all newcomers. What's up? You got a jersey? So we got our teams like we promised every week. We're going to touch on them no matter what's going on. I'd say let's get the Raiders out the way because there's more to talk about. So I'll sprinkle on my Niners after, but I'm gonna let Mitch just rock and roll with this. I know he's got the baseball bat and the tee, and good luck.
So the Raiders did get a win. Surprisingly, we're 2-2 now. We beat the Browns 20-16. Wasn't the most exciting game. We mostly took over second and third quarter, first and fourth. Kind of lackluster, but we did hold them right at the end. They were on the verge of scoring to win the game. Defense held out. So that was nice to see. We had Gardner Minshew, 14-24 for 130 yards and 0 touchdowns. DJ Turner, somebody you've never heard of, had a rushing touchdown for us. So that was pretty nice. And then somebody to be out on the lookout for, especially if we do lose DA, is Trey Tucker. He's somebody who showed out the last few weeks, somebody who even last year was showing some signs of good play, actually getting a chance now, should be a great slot receiver, somebody who moves all the way around and could even get some rushing in. But that's my highlight for the Raiders. Other than that, I got a lot of complaining to do because y'all seem to have a lot of complaining to do. Y'all are making it seem like you're 0-4, but we're 2-2. DA, I get it. You were like, oh, maybe this offseason we'll make some moves. We'll get a quarterback, and he'll be able to throw to me consistently, and I'll get my touches. And it's been 4 weeks, and that hasn't happened for you. So I see why you want to move on, but it was a little disappointing for you to be so excited and gung-ho about the season and saying you're a part of the squad and you back AP. And then now you're ready to go, even though our team's not doing terrible right now. It may seem that way, but 2-2 is a lot better than the teams we beat in the Ravens and the Browns. Like, there's a lot of teams who are struggling where 2-2, we can still make things happen. So seeing him be complaining, I can understand it on from an individual standpoint, but doing it as the team, like, just go then, man. Like, I just wish you hadn't been adamant about like, oh yeah, we got this. We're making changes this year. It's going to work out for us. Somebody else I'm upset with is Max Crosby. Why are you complaining now? Like, anything that happens on defense is on y'all. Like, it's not, oh, somebody's not getting me the ball and I'm not having opportunities.
No quarterback
That's all
there.
You.
Right.
So for you to be complaining and for me to hear rumblings about how you may want to move if DA goes too, for what? Like, solidify this defense. You guys made a great stop. Like, there's no reason for you to be complaining. If anything's wrong, it's the fact that you are not getting to the quarterback. That's what we need from you. So that's been very frustrating as a Raider fan. Personally, is just there's too much influx.
Extra.
Like, is there chemistry? Is there cohesion within the team? Or do we just got a bunch of people out there playing for themselves? You got Gardner Minshew going 14-24 for 130 yards. You have Brock Bowers getting 3 targets. Like, what are we doing out here? Who are we trying to give the ball to? My man had just as many rushing yards. Brock Bowers, just as many rushing yards as receiving. That doesn't even make sense. Like, get these guys the ball. I don't understand if it's the line. You're just not seeing things, Gardner Minshew, but that's got to change. I understand where, like, even Alexander Madison gave you 60 yards on 5 carries.
5 carries, though. That's crazy.
So, there's got to be something to it. You got to,
Zamir
stop seeing
White
headlights and stop being a deer in headlights. Like, go out there, get in between the lines. Hey, I got a little dunk here, a little dunk there. Let me do a little kick out to my Alexander Madison receiving running back. Get the ball going, man, because the offense is killing us right now. We're not getting any kind of good production from them, and we got guys complaining as if like, oh, we need to be – you're on the Raiders, right? You know what the past 20 years have been. So it's on you guys right now to change it. It's not, back to same – no. Let's go into practice. Instead of just talking about how we're together, let's actually be together and continue on with this 2-2 season where we definitely still have a chance.
And to be clear, DA has requested a trade.
Yeah.
Which is
okay.
Yeah, which is wild. So nobody thought that he was necessarily going to, even like a week ago when Deshaun Jackson called him out, he like called Deshaun Jackson out for being like, don't put stuff like that out there. Like, I would never.
Well, also the Raiders, what are you doing saying, oh, yeah, 2nd round pick? Like, why wouldn't you just say a 1st round pick?
Yeah,
why would you just be like, yeah, like, just give us anything. We don't really, whatever we can get back. Why wouldn't you say a 1st rounder?
Start high, please.
Like, obviously, if you go in behind the scenes in the office, hey, guys, we said 1st round, but now we're okay with, okay, that's okay.
That's how you actually get a 2nd round pick.
But when you say 2nd round pick, everybody else is like, well, can we do 4th round? A couple 4th rounders? Or like, what's up? Like, so just the front office, too, is like, God,
what are y'all doing?
Top down.
Yeah.
We need to switch it up. We need to get better. All right. We made the move to Vegas. Let's start gambling on some things like making a trade for a quarterback or something.
Good Lord. That's real. That's real. And also just Zamir White, like, we've been talking about you a lot on this show and your fate. Your diminished stature within the Raiders organization,
the NFL in its entirety,
has been clearly predicted on this channel. Say Something. We've been all over this from the start. You have now lost your job, my friend.
Yeah.
And it is no doubt in my mind that you earned that loss.
5 carries for 60 yards, Alexander Madison. 17 carries, 50 yards for Zamir White.
You don't need to be a mathematician to know that there's one who's more efficient, and that would not be Zamir White.
We'll see you later. We'll add on to the DA trade. Here, take Zamir White with you. You could have him, I guess. Easy cut guy.
Just add a 6th in there, and we'll give you Zamir. You know what I'm saying?
That's pretty steep.
Yeah. Might need to drop that to a 7th, or
cash consideration. Or
you might lose a pick. Yeah, you might have to give a 7th up to put him in there. Who knows? So, yeah, I mean, as you guys know, Raiders, a lot going on week to week. It just seems like, that ship is always up to something, and half the time it's not good. I hope DA stays, real talk. And Max Crosby, I mean, he's one of those guys where, like, if he goes, it's either he's very flawed character-wise in the way that I look at it in terms of, like, based on what he said. Like, I really want to build this up. And you didn't even give it, like, a Dame Lillard shot. Like, Dame was talking that talk and then at least stuck around for real until it was like, oh, I'm on my last shot. Like, I need to go somewhere. And Dame even said, like, he's done with the Raiders. If they trade DA for a 2nd, he's not having it. You know what I mean? Just the respect that needs to be put on the Raiders in terms of doing business.
Right.
Just come on. That's like Mitch is saying. Just like respect yourself. You know what I mean? Like, sell your product. Like, you're literally tarnishing your own guy with that approach. It's disgusting. Now on to the Niners. A lot less going on. We are at the same record, 2-2. So like Mitch said, there's a lot you can do at 2-2. It's sad to see that those guys aren't feeling the same way, even though their wins, like he was saying, may not have necessarily felt good for those players. Again, to be in a position where you have wins on your side, and both those wins, in my opinion, were again, ugly wins, but against really good teams.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Cleveland's going to be a playoff team, but I think that defense is top 10 and maybe top 5. And then Baltimore, we know what Baltimore is. And I guess the only thing that the Raiders could say is, like, we didn't really beat them with our style of ball. It was just kind of a win is a win. But you guys don't have a quarterback. Yeah. So, like, I would take those wins because you don't have a quarterback. And we all know in football, nobody does anything without one.
Right.
It's just not a thing.
It's number one commodity.
Yeah. I mean, it's like 1966 where we're just running rock all day.
Pro style.
Yeah.
To the fullback.
It's not going to work. And even then, it's just Zamir White. He's not going nowhere. You know what I mean? He's
nowhere.
He's chilling. So
Niners, you gave me the ball? Defender.
Don't tackle me now. He thought it was flag. Niners, prediction going into week 5 with Arizona. I think we should stomp them. Arizona's been underachieving. Their defense is not good.
No.
But like, even Kyler Murray is just one of these guys where, like, bro, I don't even know what's wrong with you. And that O-line isn't great either. I mean, they're never good in the trenches. Like, so that's just a well-known thing. James Conner's playing well, though. He always plays well against us. Probably will get a tutty in there. So if you're looking for some fantasy news or stardoms, I would definitely start James Conner against us, even though we're a very, very tough defense. He just always shows up. And he's one of those battering backs, those big backs, that sometimes are a little harder for us. We're actually really good against the speed backs, which for the league, that's not the case. But, like, power backs versus us is a little bit like the Warriors against good bigs. Right, it's just not great matchup-wise. I would just say highlight the emergence of Juwan Jennings. Keep going to Juwan Jennings. Don't act like he's somebody that hasn't proven now that his role should be larger. Yeah. We don't need him in only third down packages anymore. Put him on the field. He's a different kind of receiver than both of our other 2 frequently used receivers in Debo and Brandon Ayuk. So get him out there. You know what I mean? And then hopefully we might see a Ricky Pearsall sighting. I heard he might pad up. I mean, that would be a golf clap in itself, right? I mean, this guy got shot a couple months ago, and because it didn't hit anything, he's very lucky to be back when he's back. But if it had done anything else, I mean, pretty much your season is done. I'm shocked that he even has a shot at it. But hey, that'd be really good to see. I predict a win, pretty firm win. Like, I don't think it'll be close necessarily. And I think our Brock Purdy, just keeps showing up, and we need him to keep doing what he's been doing, right? Like, 288 last week. Of course, it was one touchdown, 1 pick. But that pick really wasn't his fault. It was usually with him, it's some sort of deflection or a drop ball that ends up turning into that. And then we got Jordan Mason, who is basically the second coming of C-Mac right now. Number 2. 24 carries, 123 yards, and a tutty. He's been doing it all year long. So stick with what we know has worked, and I think it'll only get better. I mean, the way I look at it, honestly, we may be a different style team this year. I don't think we're going to be quite the same aerial attack as we were, but I think we might be a better rushing team. And that's just because we now have bigger bodies out there. We are running different formations, and Jordan Mason is a different kind of runner. He likes to run in between the tackles a lot. Not that C-Mac couldn't, but we were very cautious of him running in between the tackles. Obviously, why? Yeah. So yeah, just keep it going. And like I said, Brock, you seem to have really built a rapport with Juwan. He deserves more looks. I know that you got him 6 last game, and I know that he's notorious for spreading it out, which is one of the things I love about Brock. 6 targets to Juwan, 6 to Debo, 5 to Ayuk, 4 to Kittle, 3 to Mason, 1 to Juszczyk, 2 to Conley. Everybody's getting a little piece of the bread. But yeah, let's just keep it going.
To your point about getting it to the right people, Juwan Jennings, number 5 in receiving yards, 364 this season. He's killing it.
On not a lot of catches.
On not a lot of catches, and the Arizona defense is the worst against rushing. And Jordan Mason is number 2 in the league at 447 yards. So I think it's going to be a heavy dosage of Jordan Mason, Juwan Jennings, and Debo probably on some sweeps.
A little here and there. So that's also fantasy points for y'all. If y'all weren't connecting the dots, he just gave you some don't sit them, start them.
Exactly.
Fantasy football pickups real fast. Some of these names we've already talked about. Some of these situations we've already talked about. But for you guys who are involved in fantasy, always want to make sure y'all are up to date.
Mm-hmm.
So for guys that you may want to check right now to see if they're out there, we got Alexander Madison, obviously the Raiders. Looks like he's going to take over for the rest of the year. I think the Raiders could be better than they've been. I mean, he's a good pass catching back, and he showed last game. I mean, 5 carries, 60 yards. That is a guy who won't necessarily be a superstar, but if he can be anywhere near that efficient, he'll be a difference maker, and he sure will be different than
the Raiders had 6 guys rush the ball.
Really?
Last game.
Wow.
Zamir White, Alexander Madison, DJ Turner, Brock Bowers, Tariq McAllister, and Trey Tucker. There's a lot of people that are just like, can you do it? Can you do it? Can you do it?
And like 3 of those guys are receivers.
Yeah.
And a
tight end.
Yeah, it's
like,
disgusting. Whoa. That is nasty. But I think that, I think the Raiders offense, now that they're going to start being a little less awkward, hopefully, because that's what it just felt like. Just, they must have already predicted some of this bad energy because it just felt bad for a while. Where it's like, none of y'all wins felt like wins. There's been no celebratory videos.
Nothing.
None. Like
they was in there with the cigars last year. Now it's like, you don't even hear about them.
No even post-game music. You know what I mean?
Back to the casino.
Right. So I think he's a guy that you really want to look at, especially if you get a guy who potentially starts for the rest of the year. I mean, that's a must-add. So he'd probably be my biggest pickup of this week, period.
Yeah.
Then you look at a guy like Trey Sermon, the former Niner, like we said earlier, Jonathan Taylor. Indianapolis, who have a great O-line. Jonathan Taylor is going to sit out this week. I'm not sure their quarterback situation. I think Richardson is playing, or is he injured?
I don't know if they want to put him back in, especially the way Joe Flacco came in there.
Oh, was he cooking?
Yeah. I mean, compared to what Anthony Richardson has been putting up last few weeks, where it's like, damn, was that just fool's gold those other times when he had some good games last year before he got hurt? But I think the offense definitely started moving a little bit better, just like when the Panthers switched to Andy Dalton. Just an experienced guy who knows how to get the ball to his receivers, compared to guys who are like maybe trying to use their feet a little too much, and right when they get some pressure is moving around instead of just sitting in the pocket.
Right. You know who would have loved getting Flacco is DA. And he was out there. Like, I'm shocked
he was on the Browns,
and I don't even think at the start of this year he was on the team. Like, that's why I'm shocked he's on Indianapolis. Yeah. And man, like, now that knowing he's back to slinging, it's like, Raiders, what are y'all doing? Anyway, so Trey Sermon's a good look. They also have a plus matchup to where he should stomp the yard against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Also, Antonio Gibson, take a long look at him. Ramondre Stevenson has been a fumble god in the first 4 games. I'm sorry. He has 1 in each. Yeah. So 4 fumbles, 4 games. Honestly, less than that'll usually get you on the bench. So I don't even feel comfortable saying that's the type of stuff that'll get you on the bench because Ramondre, you know better. 4 in 4 weeks, that'll get you sat in high school. Whew. Let alone the NFL. Antonio Gibson, not very good running back, but he's a great pass catch running back. So when you're looking at the Patriots, a team that's going to be down a lot, I actually kind of like that fit. Is he as good of a pickup as Trey Sermon or Alexander Madison in terms of this week? I don't think so. But I think Gibson may start for the rest of the season as well for the lowly Patriots. So, it's worth a shot anytime you get a guy who might take over a role for the rest of the season. And then lastly, we have, if he's still there, you better go grab Kareem Hunt. I don't think that he's probably on any waiver wires still, but I've seen crazier. So if he's there, go snag him up. Obviously, the Chiefs are just depleted, destroyed. Anywhere you look, there's a bad injury. But yet and still, Mahomes is still standing. So
they got a chance.
You got a shot. And they'll be theoretically in the red zone, which is all you want from a running back. So take a long look at the boy. And then also shifting over into the wide receivers, we got Wan'Dale Robinson, who will be taking over as the default one this week. Malik Neighbors is out. That dude has been arguably top receiver in the league so far, and definitely like a top 5 player in my opinion.
Out there.
Dude, top 5 player in the league right now.
Top
nuts. Like, you got to think about that with that quarterback. Anyway, also special from my boy Money Mitch, we got Trey Tucker and Jacoby Myers, like he highlighted earlier. Obviously, there's the DA issue.
He ain't playing.
He's not playing, and he may be gone.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, both those guys should look for elevated roles. You may see Jacoby Myers become the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Trey Tucker seems like what, the big play kind of guy?
Big play, somebody who could be in the slot and just open up the field, get downfield real quick. And then obviously you got Brock Bowers, who hopefully we can get the ball a little bit more.
I mean, it's not even a question. It's like,
got to get him the ball.
At least target him more.
Right. 3 targets in a game is not
like, and it's just giving me the same vibes. Oh my God. It's just, you would never do that in any game. In any, like, there's no, I can't even think of a situation where you like somehow get a player like that and just not even go out on your sword. Like all these other dudes who we've seen become prolific tight ends, they were the vocal point of their offense, even when the offense was not the greatest in the league. This guy needs 10 targets a game.
At least. Get on the ball.
Lastly, we got my boy, third and Juwan. If he's still out there, again, just like Kareem Hunt, probably not. But we got to give him a shout out. If he is out there, you want to get him in your lineup. Some people may be non-believers, might still be sleep on my boy. He's legit. And this year we're going to need him more than ever without C-Mac. I think we're going to need offense to be way more spread out than it's ever been prior. And that guy might be our best red zone threat, like our true best red zone threat.
It's a big ball.
And we're the highest scoring offense right now. So when you think about it in that way, it could work out, right? That's it for the fantasy. So like we said, if you got any other ads, throw them in the comments. You know, we always like to keep up with it because we try to cover as best as possible, but there may have been some news that dropped even right now while we were recording. So drop in the comments if there's any ads that we missed because we might use them.
Yeah.
We might use them. And, you know, as we always do, MLB is in the real deep part. This is October, so this is the real deal. If you know baseball, even if you don't, you know what time it is right now. So we have lots of action that obviously we need my mans to cover. So I'm going to let him handle the business. We got a playoff special. He'll catch you up on everything that's happened so far.
MLB playoffs in full thrust right now. We got the AL wild card starting us off. We had the Tigers beating a good Astros team.
Crazy.
No, nothing from Jordan, nothing from Tucker, nothing from the boys, nothing from Bregman. Tarek Skubal for the Tigers absolutely shoved against them, showed his dominance, why he's a top pitcher in the league. And the offense helped out a little bit, scored 3 or 4 runs with the great pitching. You're going to win games. So they took it 2 straight games as a best of 3. They took it real quick. Tigers moving on. Next, we had the Royals over the Orioles,
KC,
a team that everybody thought had the potential to at least make the championship series. But the Royals came in, Bobby Witt, Salvador Perez, Seth Lugo. Some of these guys, like the pitchers, are coming out of nowhere for them, shutting stuff down. And then, you got the great Bobby Witt, like I just mentioned, putting the team on his back, rallying everybody, getting them a push, and now they get to go and play the Yankees. So they won 2-1. Orioles did get a game, but at the end of the day, the Royals were too much. Orioles, better luck next year. Hey, it's a great thing that most of your players are still only 23, 24, 22 years old. So there's still a lot of promise with the Orioles. Check out for them next year, but sayonara for now. Next, we move on to the NL. We had 2 great games at the end. We had the Mets ending up winning against the Brewers. Game, it was 1-1 of the best of 3. The Mets took it to the top of the 9th inning with 1 out, had 2 people on. Pete Alonso comes up against Devin Williams. Great closer, has been having a tough year, but has always been good. Has a nasty changeup.
Super nasty.
But Pete Alonso had an even better AB, very professional AB. Stayed back, took a pitch opposite field for a home run to give them the lead 3-2. And then, what was his name? Came in right after and scored for them. He's from another team and just got traded over. I can't think of his name, but he got a base knock after Pete Alonso hit a home run, stole second base, and then Starlin Marte got a nice knock to the opposite field and scored a winker. I think it's Jesse Winker.
Yep,
Jesse Winker got on base, stole second base, and then a great at bat by Starlin Marte, just flick of the hands, hit it opposite field. Winker scores. They go up 4-2, and then in the bottom of the ninth, handle business, and really just shocked all the Brewers fans who were 2 outs away from making it to the ALDS
with a reliable closer.
Closer sitting there. So it was unfortunate for them, but the Mets moved on, and then the Padres got San Diego rocking right now. It looks like a lot of fun.
It's up there.
I would want to go to one of those games. They got Blink 182 out there doing songs in the middle of games, giving out guitars to players. It's a spectacle right now. They took care of business against the lackluster right now because of very, very big injuries to the Braves. But they can step up. Michael Harris had a good home run to potentially win the game for them, but at the end of the day, it was too much Padres. They won 2-0 in the series to move on. And now we're moving to the ALDS and the NLDS Division Series now. Starting tomorrow.
Big matchup.
10 a.m.
Big matchup.
It's going to be an all-day baseball day. We starting at 10, and then the last game starts at 5 o'clock. But to start off, we're going to have the Guardians playing the Tigers at 10 a.m. It's going to be Tyler Holton for the Tigers, because they had their 2 studs go earlier, against Tanner Bybee, a great starter for the Cleveland Guardians. Guardians are a great team. Hitters to look out for them. We got Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor, Steven Kwan. They've been coming up clutch. They're always going to be consistent guys for their offense. And for the Tigers, they got Riley Green, Parker Meadows, Spencer Torkelson, Matt Vierling. So a lot more unknown guys and young guys, but they've been stepping up, especially with a strong pitching rotation.
Had a great second half, right?
Yeah, great second half. I think they won like 32.
They
won like 32 and 13
to
end the season.
Yeah.
Just strolled in. And then the other series for the American League, we got the Royals versus the Yankees. And that one's going to be a tough one for the Royals. Hopefully their pitching can show up, because when it comes to hitting, they do have some guys. The Royals, we got Bobby Witt, of course, who's absolute murderer on the field.
MVP.
Salvador Perez, who's been consistent as ever his whole career.
Forever.
And calls a great game behind the plate. Can't take that for granted, especially when it comes to playoff time. My boy here knows that the best had Buster Posey for years for the Giants, shutting stuff down. But then they also got a great postseason guy, Yuli Gurriel.
Mm-hmm.
He always seems to show up.
Yep.
And also Vinny Pasquantino at first base.
Youngster.
Solid bat. Hopefully he can show up, because the Yankees got their guys. It's going to be Michael Wacha for the Royals pitching against Garrett Cole, stud for the Yankees. And they got Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Jazz Chisholm, Giancarlo Stanton, Anthony Volpe, just a whole lineup of guys looking like a murderer's row from back in the day. So that one's going to be at 3:30 tomorrow. Tune into that one to see a great pitching matchup, as well as the Bronx Bombers that they got. Moving on to the NL, we now have the Mets beating the Brewers. So we got Mets versus Phillies. I'm so happy to see the Mets over the Brewers. Brewers, not as many notable names as a team like the Mets, and the Mets have spent so much money on their roster. They got to produce, and that's why it's great to see the big panda, Pete Alonso, come through clutch for them. But for them, it's going to be reliant on Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, and Starling Marte, and then guys like Winker to be able to get on base and move around for them to hit in. It's going to be Kodai Senga coming back after a long time being injured this year. He's going to be going against a very, very good Cy Young type of guy in Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
The Phillies are going to be a lot for them to handle. I don't know if the Mets get past this one, because they got Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Alec Bohm, Nick Castellanos, a bunch of guys who have been there, done that.
JT
Realmuto is out there. So they got a lot of studs looking like a Yankees-type team in terms of offense and pitching.
Yeah.
When you got Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez, Christopher Sanchez, that's just a lot to deal with on top of a great lineup. So that one's going to be at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Check that one out, because that one's going to be a good series, especially if the Mets show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least, you have the NL West showdown. We got the Padres versus the Dodgers. Exciting to see, because it's going to be, like we said last week, Shohei Ohtani's first time in the playoffs with a team of studs. But on the other side, you got the same thing. It's going to be Yoshinobu Yamamoto coming back, starting against Dylan Cease, guy who had a great season this season.
Coming over from the White Sox.
Hey, I bet you're happy about that one, Dylan. Because those boys lost 122 games, I think. It was rough times in Chicago for them boys.
Nasty work.
But the Padres going to rely on their great hitters. They got Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, Jurickson Profar. What's the Jackson Merrill? Yeah, stud rookie
right?
This year, putting up big numbers. Sorry for even stumbling on your name because you deserve all the accolades. You've been killing it this year. But on that other side,
what's the other dude? Arias?
Right? Oh yeah, Luis Arias.
He's pretty good.
Yeah,
right?
I mean he's a stud. He's going to get on base, batting over 300 all the time. I think he's like the first person to be on 3 teams in 3 straight years and win a batting title all 3 years. So
dang,
he's an absolute professional hitter out there. Yeah. Kids out there, if you guys want to watch somebody on Strictly Just Hitting, especially if you're not one of the bigger home run kind of guys, check out some of his YouTube videos because he has some great practices out there that shows his whole process in terms of hitting. But on the other side, you got the Dodgers. Whew. You got Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts,
and the best
and Shohei Ohtani, the best player in baseball. Those 3 are going to really be rounding it out. Everybody else is going to play a role, obviously. But those guys are going to be the big bats to knock everybody in. That's going to be a really exciting series. 2 teams real close to each other, LA, San Diego. So there's going to be a bunch of fans at the bar. If they're not even at the game, they're going to be at the bars. They're going to be out on the town. I wouldn't be surprised if they had some outdoor like showings of the games for people to just chill, especially since it's been so hot recently. So it's going to be exciting in the LA and Southern California area for that series. And that one's going to be Showtime, prime time at 5:30 at night. These are all Western times that I'm saying right now, so West Coast times.
Convert it. You convert it. You
convert it. We know it's not that difficult.
Right.
But like I said, 4 games. We got the Yankees, the Royals. We got the Tigers versus the Guardians, the Mets versus the Phillies, and the Dodgers versus the Padres. Some real exciting baseball right now. Go check it out. This hasn't been a slow playoff time right now. It's been a lot of action, a lot of great plays out there. Even in the last game, Francisco Lindor made a great double play to end it. It's just a lot of excitement. I know the season's long, but now you really get to see the best of baseball right now, and it's really going to show. So make sure you guys come and check that out. It's going to be exciting the rest of the year.
Absolutely. This is the time to tune in October baseball.
The best of the best.
Can you give them real fast before we sign out today? Can you give them who you think is going to take each of these series? I know you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but.
So NL, I'm going Dodgers and Phillies. Sorry, Mets. Sorry, Padres. Padres, you guys just haven't been a team that's been able to show up when you've had to face really, really good talent. When you're facing a team like the Braves who are down all their main guys, I don't see that as much as a threat to y'all. And you guys kind of got to ease through that series just because they're so injury-riddled for the Braves. And then in the AL, I got the Yankees and I got the Guardians. I think the Guardians and the Yankees are going to be the 2 teams. Again, the Tigers are still pretty new to this with their guys, a lot of young position players with solid pitching, whereas the Guardians have been a pretty consistent team that's been making it to the playoffs and have proven guys like Jose Ramirez, who can just take over a whole series pretty much by himself. Put on some and then you got Steven Kwan, who's just
baller,
just like Luis Arias, just somebody who just knows how to get on base, has productive ABs every time, and will put pressure on the pitchers. So I see the Guardians facing the Yankees in the ALCS, and I see the Phillies facing the Dodgers in the NLCS.
Well, there you have it. Y'all make sure you tune in. We're going to keep you up to date on all of it. Mm-hmm. My only thing that I would add at the end is I got the San Diego Padres.
Ooh.
I hope so.
Right.
I just hate the Dodgers. I hate the Dodgers so badly. You know how it is, man. Giants fan forever. But I actually watching some of their series. San Diego took it this year, played them really well this year. And I don't know if the Dodgers are quite what we think of as the Dodgers. I mean, their pitching staff is destroyed. Like, it's not the real.
I think it was like the longevity of the season that helped them out. And then when it does come to maybe some like, oh, it's just 5 games right now, they could kind of stumble. They are prone to stumbling at times.
Definitely. And if LA's rotation was anything like it was supposed to look like, this would be a totally different story because they're missing some.
I mean, even games. Yamamoto coming back for game 1 is like, you've been kind of hurt off and on this whole season, so like, they're really hoping that like you can give them 5
or like 4. I was even thinking,
and then
like,
get to that bullpen.
Yeah,
I'd be hard pressed to see him go very long.
They're all beat up. All beat up. So anyway, like we said, we'll have all of this for you. Mitch won't let you miss one moment of October baseball, but we got to make sure to remind y'all to watch it because you're going to miss some moments if you don't. Live action is better than what we can give you. But we will be back next week. We got a lot more coming. Basketball is back, so the NBA will start getting into full tilt.
We had our first little fancy drafts.
Yes.
We'll have things. We'll break that down.
Yeah, we'll have some wonderful things to talk about. So y'all tune in next week. But for us here at Say Something, man, another week in the books. We'll see y'all. Peace.